Welcome to this evening's webinar on Principling in Place, and an evening to connect, learn, and laugh. The topic for tonight's session is creating an ideal week, building a schedule that you run, not one that runs you.
So I'm Gracie Branch. I'm the Associate Executive Director of Professional Learning at NASP, and I have the pleasure tonight of introducing our two moderators who really need no introduction, but I'm going to try. So first we've got Jessica Cabine. She's the principal of Ellis Middle School in Austin, Minnesota. She is a former NASP National Distinguished Principal, a published author, and is extremely active on social media. Her cohort tonight is Dr. Rachel George, who's a pre-K through 5 principal at Sandy Grove Elementary in Sandy, Oregon. She's a past middle school principal of an outstanding and 2-time designated Level 5 model school. She was named by ASCD as an emerging leader and is a former NASP state representative. Now, I just know these two ladies as former NASP President Eric Cardwell would say, as rock stars. And we appreciate them serving on our newly formed NASP National Coronavirus Task Force. And we are so fortunate to have them tonight to kick off a new series for NASP, Principling in Place. So take it away, Jessica and Rachel.
All right, thanks Gracie and Honor. It's awesome to be here and already seeing David and Jessica and Curtis in the chat. So excited, and Cass, wow, this is gonna be a fun night. And so Rachel and I are really excited. This is really for you as members. So we're gonna give some ideas and topics, but then we're gonna really look to your expertise to help us build not only tonight's content, but content really for every Thursday for the rest of our school year. So the purpose for this series is really that real-time response to meet our needs. We literally put this together in, what, 2-3 days? I mean, and still both trying to principal in place here in our respective schools and basements. But we'll drive for membership, so at the end we'll be really looking for feedback as to what you'd like to see in the next couple weeks, and bring in some special guest hosts and facilitators to really continue to drive this content. So at the end of this, you will get a roster of attendance and resources that we're sharing throughout the evening, and then we'll also start plugging some things into the chat if you're excited and want to start working on this right away. So we'll go to our next slide and talk about how are you? Like, really, how are you? If you could take a moment to just use a word or a phrase, how you're feeling, how you're doing. We're all friends here. So, and it's after hours. Well, how you doing?
And the chat box isn't recorded. So
yes, so we won't like say, Kip says, but we may just say some of the comments, but we won't necessarily reference your name, so.
Exhausted, we have overwhelmed. Getting better, that's awesome, I'm sure. Kip said you can always quote him.
Okay, sounds good.
We have some anxious, for sure tired, missing folks. Oh, awesome, some encouragement. We have some folks that are doing good, that's awesome. I'm prepared, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, I've seen some things, you know, some of us have family members who are on different front lines and essential workers that are outside of education, and there's anxiety and worry for our loved ones that are helping in hospitals and caring for those that are battling COVID-19 right now too, and that causes another layer of stress for people. All right, so thank you for sharing. That's pretty much where Rachel and I kind of figured we would all be tonight. So we're trying to put some things in place to help support us moving forward tomorrow. So we're going to do what's called a poll. And so we just want to see where we were at today. So the first question is going to be, who ate today? Like I'm going to define it as like a meal, not like the granola bars in our desk drawers right now, but a meal. Who ate today?
Just for the record, Jess, I emptied out my desk drawer of my granola bars when school got shut down because I thought I might need them at home.
Yeah, in between Zoom meetings. We ate a real meal. All right, we ready to see the results?
I'm not.
No. Okay, I'll read them to you. Nice one. 91% said yes, and 9% said no.
Way to go. How many of us did actually get to eat when we were in the job on the school? So we actually ate some lunches. Very good. All right, next question. Who exercised today?
And 43% said yes, and 57% said no.
All right, all right. I feel like, yes, here comes the next. Oh, here comes the results. Yep, they're up now. Honor.
Good.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Who participated in a meeting today? Who had a meeting?
91% participated in a Zoom or Google Hangout meeting today, and a lucky 9% said no. That's awesome. That's a lot of meetings.
Yeah. So in the last question we have is there's multiple choices on this one, but what is something that you want to do more of while you're principling in place? Eat better, connect with your own family, read, rest, relax. So go ahead and let's just take a look and a little gauge as to our participants. What's something that we want to do more of now that we're home more? This one I'm excited about seeing. Okay.
24% said eat better.
Okay.
29% said connect with my own family. 29% said read. 4% said rest. And 13% said relax.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to try to get some of those things into your schedule starting tomorrow or Monday. And so we're going to go to the next slide and start to talk about what is an ideal week. And what it isn't is what I've experienced in the last couple weeks of just this more sedentary style of leading. We are all, I think, leaders on our feet and all struggling with not seeing our kids and not seeing our staff and the worry and wonder that goes along with that. But now that we have, this is our new normal and we have to adjust to it, we wanted to spend some time, how can we retweak our schedule to make sure we're prioritizing our own health so that we can take care of others around us. And I saw in the beginning, Rachel, we did too, that people are sad and anxious and we're missing people. And we didn't get into this profession to lead in front of a computer in isolation. We really wanted to be connecting and growing and learning together. And so we have to make the best of what we have, but find some resources and tools to do it a little bit differently. So if we want to go to the first step, so the next slide, is really talking about what an ideal week looks like. And it's an honor to share some of this. We're going to actually share my ideal week for this week. Ironically, though, we're not perfect with this, and I'll be super vulnerable in the fact that I missed the shower yesterday on the schedule. Very vulnerable. Even it's written right there, ladies. I even said before this, I'm like, who misses showering? I did. I got stuck in this office too long, and I totally missed it. I got the workout in, but missed the shower. But what an ideal week is really intentionally identifying the key things that you want to do, and then also putting in the things you have to do within your day, and then holding yourself accountable to it. So I have the blessing of being a principal of 800 7th and 8th graders during the day, and being the parent of a 7th grader and a 9th grader here at home. So the orange for me is family check-ins, because I'm also needing to make sure that my own children are engaged in distance learning while I'm trying to lead a building. One of the other pieces too that I'll just share briefly is I start my morning with email and staff check-in, and I snooze my email before overnight. I mean, obviously I start my day with me, which is the miracle morning and exercise, and most days shower, maybe not yesterday. And then email check-ins, staff check-ins, review the day, and my objective and key results. And this week, my objective and key results was to make a contact with each staff member, and I finished that today. So whether it was a Skype meeting or a Zoom meeting, an email, a text, and I kept a spreadsheet. I wanted to make sure I had made a personal connection with each staff member this week. Then I wish Mr. Barnick was here tonight. I don't think he is. He is my partner and the assistant principal at Ellis, and so we spend a half hour every morning just connecting with each other. He goes to half the department meetings, I go to half, so it's a way for us to make sure we're being consistent while splitting duties so we can also do the other things. I'll talk about Miracle Morning in a second. And then we'll talk about with strategic goal work is really a larger chunk of time that you maybe have to work on a long-term plan. And so you turn all notifications off on your phone, you turn your email off, and you just get to work for 90 minutes without any distraction. I'm trying to put readings in for the week. I love NAESP's magazine and blogs, and right before all this happened, I really was starting to get, I wasn't able to put that stuff in, and so I really tried to make intentional time to put that back in. And then I have lunch family time, and so I need to do that because I cannot sit in this chair that long, and maybe chair push-ups. So leaving and going to do some family time, office hours, and then I put in the department meetings that I'm scheduled to be in. We have a weekly building leadership, and then Kelly really runs the building. We're going to be honest. She's the administrative assistant extraordinaire that's stuck with me every day. And so we end our day just checking in, seeing what she's seen on her end, what I've seen on mine remotely, because we're so used to checking in with each other on a very regular basis, as you guys probably are with your secretaries. This has been a real loss for both of us because it's my person, and I don't get to see her very much anymore. And then Ryan and I check in again at the end of the day, and then each afternoon we have a district leadership meeting in which we're just seeing how things are changing every day, as I'm sure it is with your state and organizations too. One more email check-in. I like to do my connections on social media, so just checking in on my friends on Twitter and Instagram and make sure everybody else is doing what they need to do. And then I leave some white space in my calendar. That's just a good time to just walk away from everything and clear your mind and your thoughts and just kind of recalibrate to what are you going to do now. Even though you're in your same space, now you're going from a principal to a person. So how do you take that time to really look at, like, okay, now I'm going to go make dinner. Maybe I'll go for a walk. Maybe I'll walk my new puppy, or my new puppy will try to walk me. And then go into your evening, which for me is dinner and doing some writing and reflecting. And then I have a mastermind with Danny Bauer on Wednesdays. So you are going to get this template. We're going to send this to you so you can, obviously we'd ask you to make a copy of it and then go ahead and start building your own. And we'll talk more specifically about that. Yeah, go ahead, Rachel. Yes.
Mark had a fantastic question, and I'd be curious on the answer too. Do you ever book in time for checking in with students within your schedule?
So, yep. So one of the things on there was we have like what we call office hours. So that department time is also the time in which they're available for students via Zoom. And so now this is going to be week 2 for us. Week 1 was really just getting the technical pieces. Week 2, I'm going to start popping into some of those Zoom meetings. I'm getting signed up to do bingo in 8th grade science, which means I'm going to lose big. And then we have some Tier 2 social emotional cohort classes that have been asking for me to pop in. So then I'll be popping into those, as well as doing daily like videos and posts on our Instagram. But yes, absolutely making connections with the students is essential. And more so too, I've been able to do some videos with parents. One of the biggest pieces here in Austin, Minnesota is we're a really diverse community because we're the home of SPAM. Honor knows I'm going to talk about SPAM and every time I get a chance to be here. But with that comes a lot of diversity in our language acquisition and backgrounds. And so our parent newsletters we do via Zoom, and we have our interpreter right there. So it's real-time translation so all of our families can get a good sense of what we're sharing. So, all right. Rachel, did I miss anything else?
No, you're doing fantastic. Keep it rolling, girl.
Okay. So what are our priorities? So and then Rachel, it looks like even the elementary, like some of these connection things we can take for next sessions too.
Love it.
Let's write down so I shared overall priorities in my life that are outside of just being a principal, being a parent, being a person, a wife, a spouse. What are your priorities? And this is a good opportunity to maybe reset some of those priorities that maybe weren't happening how you thought. So if you want to just in the comments in the chat box, if you could what are some of your priorities right now? What are some of the things that you want to put back in your schedule that maybe have fallen off?
Kip gave you a very nice compliment. Your schedule reflects your priorities.
Oh, Kip.
That was nice.
Kip is nice.
Being a learner, exercise and diet.
Yeah. Oh, Todd's here. Hi, Todd. Tiffany.
Reading.
Reading
Getting more reading time in for sure, Jessica. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tony.
Staying connected while distancing, yes, challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Full time, it definitely looks different now.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So when you've identified your priorities, you can go to the next slide. That's the how you'd identify what you put on your calendar first. And so think about, out of the things we wrote, what are the 3 essential things you need on your calendar next week? And I challenge you not just about your day job, but your life outside of your day job. So I think when I shared my ideal week, and Rachel, I'll have you maybe model too. It was family time for me because I knew that this was going to be a new role, to be a mom and a teacher of my children. And so my priority was I wanted to get time with my kids on my schedule every day, time to exercise and do my morning routine of devotional and journaling. And so I put those on my calendar first. So what are the 3 things that, Rachel, maybe you want to put on your calendar next week?
Mine centered around a lot of exercising. It keeps me sane. And normally it's always been in the morning when I would go to the building. And then I would come home and I would kind of like run the energy off or spin it off. But now that I'm home all day, it's really different. And it's also another stress level. So regardless of what my day looks like, I always get up and exercise first. It's either walking or running in the morning. Make sure that I get a midday workout in, like about lunchtime. So sometimes I look like a hot mess in Zoom meetings, but that's okay. And I just tell them, like, I'm taking care of myself, I'm working out. And then I always sandwich one on the end. So I start and end the day, and then I also have like a break in the middle. So sometimes they flex on the time depending on what's needed, but that's my non-negotiable. And I've been
fantastic
about it.
Well, and I love Curtis has got some great things. Dwight Hooper has joined us, everybody. Holy cow. Family first, then our staff and students. We need to add energy, support our staff so they don't run dry. Absolutely. Kyle Hoops, I love it. Creative thinking time, masterminds. Todd has put reading time and exercise. And I really appreciate ditto Dwight Cooper. See, Dwight Cooper jumps on a chat and people listen. He's like the E.F. Hutton here right now. I love that people put self-care as a priority on your schedule, because I do think if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? And your teachers are watching. They really are watching you because you're leading through a pandemic that none of us have ever experienced before. And so if you're modeling that for them, they're more apt to do it for themselves. If you are on Zoom calls from 6 in the morning till 10 at night and eating granola bars and whatever else you can find in your drawers, they're seeing that and they're gonna respond to that. So I think it is really important, and I'm so excited that people are responding that, yeah, we do want to make sure that we're prioritizing ourselves right now. This looks really, really good. Can't serve from an empty vessel. Yes, honor. Tony, email is off. Fantastic. So once you've identified those 3 priorities, we can go to the next step, which is going to be, what is the struggle? We've got another poll. I love these. What is the struggle? What category do you think you're struggling the most? Because then maybe within the chat, we can problem solve some of that. So where some of us are week 1 into shelter in place. Some of us, Rachel, what are you, week 3?
Week 3, there was spring break in the middle of it, but it's 3 weeks out with kids.
So we're in different continuums of this, different coasts, Midwest to West Coast. But wherever you're at in your journey of being shelter in place, what is the struggle for you putting on the calendar? Daily activities for yourself, for your family, daily tasks at work, or strategic tasks at work. And again, that's defined as that like 90-minute chunk of time that you can't multitask. It's not doing emails. It's like, for me, it's building my master schedule on my newfound wall with paper and Post-it notes. So what are those strategic tasks that you need to get done but need dedicated time? And we'll see what the results are there.
Still coming in?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, please. This is, and we hope that, and I love that the chat's so active right now, because this is really, again, real-time response to the needs of our members. And so really this is your time and places to ask questions, and we'll make sure to leave time at the end to not only ask questions but to problem solve as a group of leaders across the nation. So
I'm ending it, and let's hit the chair.
All right. Ooh, across the board.
Did you see that?
So 35% the daily activities for me. Makes sense. Daily activities for my family was 20%. Daily tasks at work was 18, and then strategic tasks for work was 29%.
Okay. So we've got quarters of each. So that's, I mean, we're going to be able to kind of build this plane as we're flying it tonight. So we'll go to the next slide. And what that's going to be really about, how are we going to measure success? And maybe, actually, Honor, can we go back one slide? Because let's talk a little bit about each of these areas, maybe, to get feedback in the moment. So daily activities for me, for those of you who said you can make that happen, what are things you're doing to get those into your day? One thing that I'm learning with all this sitting is they're like, she has the wiggles, she can't sit still. I'm trying, because most of our meetings start at the top of the hour, and then about like 10:50 they finished up. I have a yoga mat behind me, and my goal is at least 2 to 3 times during my day I'm doing a yoga flow just to get stretching and physical activity. I think Kip said walking up and down the stairs. I mean, even the smallest things can make a difference. So what are some ways in which you're incorporating daily activities for yourself? If you're making it work, how are you doing it? And put it in the comments for us.
I think while we're waiting for some of the comments, I know that I have been not scheduling meetings that I have control over until after 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm trying to preserve those mornings. I have time for reading, time to do that professional development for myself and working out and being centered. So I walk into the meeting virtually in a good mindset. Walking outside in the morning. Tiffany goes for a run in the morning so she can kind of start her day. Let's see. Walking and riding a stationary bike with David because it's been snowing. Yes. I love the family accountability member. Great idea. Walking dogs 3 times with Megan.
Oh, Andrew's walking his dog too. Andrew, it's good to see you here.
Home gyms. Man, that's been a huge saving grace.
Well, and I've noticed too, and I don't know if Grace, your Honor too, that some gyms are offering like free opportunities to use their apps. I think even Peloton was doing that for a couple months. You had an opportunity to try, or I've seen my aunt just sent me a link to a Zumba class, and her instructor was just putting it on Facebook Live. So it's actually a really cool opportunity to maybe bucket list something, try something you maybe wouldn't have normally done that you have some time to do.
I think Beachbody did another deal too.
Kurt's doing log splitting. I love it.
Yes, 90-day free trial with Peloton. Jessica and I are both huge fans.
And Mark French, if you don't follow Mark French, you really should. I would love to virtually eat at his house every night. He makes the best meals. He's an incredible principal, but amazing cook. At least the pictures. I'm sure it tastes really good. Zumba and Facebook Live. I feel like I would try Zumba, Jennifer, in the privacy of my own home because I'm going to trip over my feet more than I'm going to be upright. So this might be my opportunity. Oh, Crystal Mark, virtual cooking session. We may have one of our next evening sessions with Mark. All right, let's go, as we're finishing this one, let's talk about daily activities for our family, which is interesting because some of us might, if you have children, now you become not just their parent, but their educator too. And so how are you balancing that? Anxiety, if any of your children are having or experiencing some anxiety about what's going on in the world, or loss. I have a 9th grader that hasn't physically seen his girlfriend in about 2 weeks, and it's a struggle bus for him and then, of course, for me. So the kids are how are you making those activities and making this time meaningful? Because these kids are going to remember, and your spouse is going to remember this time, and you have an opportunity to really make the most of it.
I think the challenge, Jessica, is that so many of us as building principals that have kids at home, how do you do that distance learning support and advocate for your kids while you're advocating and taking care of so many others? Cass mentioned that in the chat, and I think that resonates with a lot of folks in the room. That's a huge challenge.
It is, and I think, and Cass, I really appreciate that honesty too, because Cass works, I mean, if you don't know Cass Nelson, you are missing out because she's amazing leader and does a lot for our organization nationally and then her own school and her family. With that link, I did a spreadsheet tab for your own children, my oldest son watched me do this the other day, and he actually built his own schedule after watching mine, just because I could build this schedule, but I know his optimal learning time isn't 6 in the morning. That's not even his optimal Snapchat time. That's still sleep time. But he built a schedule that said his optimal learning time was like 10 to noon and then 1 to 3. So giving your children some opportunity and knowing that they are going to learn to be independent and they'll lead from you, and maybe even letting them sit alongside you. It's been so much fun for me to watch some of these Zoom meetings and seeing our staff and their children in the video. I think that's a bonus. Or their fur babies. We had one Zoom meeting with everybody's fur baby that came up and introduced it, and it's a really great way to model relationships too. So I've also, since I'm a parent and a principal of my 7th grade son, really tried to thank the teachers for putting lessons together that he can manage too. But I'm fortunate to have older kiddos. Oh, there we go. We got Kayla wrote, made a schedule for her own children, high schoolers missing school a lot, 3rd graders happy being at home, but it is hard to oversee work and balance email, Zoom, and Hangout meetings. And that's where I think sometimes as principals we can do it all, but maybe we shouldn't. And so one of the hardest decisions we had to make in this process is working with my partner Ryan to divvy up the departments. I mean, I could be in every department meeting as the building principal, but I would have no time for anything else. And so just being transparent with the staff, maybe it's an instructional coach, maybe you're in some of these department meetings for the first 10 minutes and then you bow out so you can get other things done. If you're honest and open with the staff as to what you also need to do, they're really receptive to it. And it'd be interesting once you bow out how productive they are, and maybe they're able to get their work done and get things done as well too.
Miley had a great point that she does a start with her kids at 9 a.m. So then she gives them a little grace before they get going, and they can see her in mom mode, which I think is really important.
And Cindy has 2 teenagers and plan activities 5 out of the 7 nights a week. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Because that's the other thing too, is yes, we want to be parents and educators, but we also could just be family time. And one of the blessings with this is a lot of our evening activities are gone. So we actually get some family time back at night. That's fantastic.
One of the things, Jessica, that I've done with my staff is I have a young group, and they've been real worried about, with little kids, how do I do this stuff at home? And I choose to be really explicit about, like, being a mom comes first. Your family comes first. If they need to come in and visit with you while you're on a Zoom call or something else, we understand. If an emergency happens, we get it. And I think that's been something, luckily, in Oregon that's been modeled even from the top down, from even our Department of Ed folks, as they've been having Zoom calls so you can see their kids in the background, their dogs barking. And I think it's just a great opportunity to reiterate the grace and the personable relational aspects of our job, and that we are real life people, they are as well, and making sure they take care of what's important first.
Well, I like Dwight too uses a PLC feedback sheet, so then people can request him as needed or after the fact. So that's an opportunity too to say, even though you might not be physically present in that synchronous meeting time, you are available after the fact too. So that's a really, really great idea. Let's see. Daily tasks at work. Here's, if you have strategies for this, one of the things that email, I don't know about anybody else. Did anybody else's email grow exponentially when this all happened? I feel like I've gotten more spam, and not the fabulous meat product out of Austin, Minnesota, but like more emails about get this tool or use this webinar or do this, not just spam. I've gotten a lot more email, and that can sometimes drown me in the day. Okay, somebody else is having, or maybe it's just me. I think some middle schooler got my email address and is signing me up for like Russian dating apps all over the place. Maybe that's it, because I feel like my inbox is out of hand. Okay, nope, I have friends. We have friends here, Rachel, that are struggling too.
Delete, slide.
So can I share one strategy, Rachel, too, just because I've found it now?
Please.
Yes, Teresa Stager is a secondary principal in Michigan, and years ago she told me about this app called Boomerang, and we have such high filters back in my building. I can't use it there, but I brought my computer home, and now it works. If you've not heard of Boomerang, game changer. It's like a unicorn, and this is why I love it. Is I'm somebody who can't not, when I hear a ding or I see an email, I have to just gravitate to it, and I lose focus on anything else. They have this little thing that snoozes. It snoozes your inbox, and then so nothing comes in your inbox until you tell it to come back. And you can put a nice little note that just says, you know, my inbox is off for the night. I'll check back in the morning. It's fantastic. It's like, so I can leave and I can be working my Peloton like yoga, and I don't hear ding, 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 because it's taking, my email's taking a nap. So then when I pause it or open it up in the morning, I just have that half hour in the morning where I just take care of it, and then I snooze it again till later in the day. So that's been like a game changer for me.
You know, it's interesting, Jessica, because you use the snooze feature. I use the send timing of it, so I don't look like a crazy wacko at like 10 o'clock sending emails and then burdening other people. So I use it on the other side. Mark asked a great question about if we're working from home, if staff are reporting or so. For me, I think some people are showing up to the building, teachers, not teachers, but like other administrators, because I can see them in their meetings and they're in their office. So I'm like, what are you doing? We've been given the privilege to be able to work from home and have that grace so we can help with the family aspect, again, coming down from the superintendent and his message to us. And I deeply appreciated that. And so I'm all at home remotely, and our staff are as well within my district. Jessica, what do you have going on?
Yep, we can do either. I just ended up, once I made the commitment to move in, I just moved in down here. So I will probably go back one day a week just to check in on things. But again, just really trying to follow the process of shelter in place and staying put. So, but we are also trying to give some of these strategies for teachers. I think giving your staff explicit permission once they're done for the day, don't keep checking, like turn it off, put it away. The hardest thing right now is our boundaries are super blurred because we're working where we live. And I think Honor and I talked about this last week or when we were doing a webinar, is that even, you know, NAESP office, they're at home too. And so it's a draw to keep coming back here all night, even though your day's over. So it's really helpful to model that for the staff too. So like Rachel said, you know, maybe not sending emails at night, or at the end of every staff meeting we end with, now do something for yourself today. And that's just an explicit permission. Yeah, their second home is gone. You're totally right, Jess. And then let's see, let's turn over to the last bullet, which is strategic tasks for work. And a lot of us right now are really in that survival. I think about like the Maslow, just the basic, we're right at the lower level, but we are going to have to think long term. Some of us are probably in the midst of trying to figure out how to hire staff for next year in this type of distance format. Some of us might be doing some budgeting, master scheduling, and we're all going to have to think about how the fall is going to be different and better because of what we've gone through right now, not just academically, but social, emotionally for our students and our staff. And so how are you finding time for that like 90-minute block of work that's uninterrupted? So what are some things that you're doing or want to do or have done in the past to make that work?
I've been blocking it out on my calendar. And then I've been working in a different location so I don't get into the same mindset as I need to be on my computer. And if I'm using my device, I will shut down all the tabs that will distract me. My email, the Twitter feeds, the Parent Square communication app that parents communicate back and forth. I just have to like lock it down. And I even have been putting my phone in the other room. Mm-hmm. So then that way I'm not hearing it ding and then feeling bad about not responding.
Absolutely. And I I know Kristen's like 90 minutes. Yeah. One thing I'm enjoying now, because I can be home and my office is right here, is I'm a super early morning person, and I figured it out one of the national conferences when we had Daniel Pink, and he talked about being a lark or an owl. I'm an uber lark. I love my 4:45 and I'm just on. And so I noticed I do it one day a week, and it's usually Tuesday mornings. I'll get down here at about 5:36 in the morning, and I can work till 7:30, if not 8, and nobody's really bothering me. I can put my music on in the background, and that's when I've been really able to get my schedule done. But then I have to remember that at some point during the week, I need to either end early or leave a chunk of time to kind of recoup, because now that day I work from like 5 in the morning till 4:35 at night. But saying, okay, I'm going to power through right here, but then maybe by the end of the week, I'll take an extra time to just walk the dog or watch a movie with the kids or something. But finding that uninterrupted time might have to look creative and also fit your learning style when you best learn too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some folks are able to identify a good time in the day, or even shutting the door, which is really helpful. I think the 90 minutes that you mentioned, Jess, probably blew a lot of our minds. We might have been thinking half an hour or an hour.
Well, and when you have an amazing assistant like Kelly Pryor, who, now I told you her last name, but there's no poaching in these webinars. There's no like stealing people's help in supports. That's not what this is. This is building relationships. But when I tell Kelly, like, I need 90 minutes this week, she is able to figure that out in my schedule and pretty much like puts an iron wall and just says, this is it. And here's the thing is, all of you that are in here, whether or not I know you personally, I know you give everything to your staff. And so for you to ask them for 90 minutes a week to do something that's going to better the building, they're going to gift that to you. But you have to put the sign up on the door. And when they knock and say, do you have a minute? It's okay to say no. It's okay to say not right now. Or it's okay to have somebody advocate for you. So those are important things. Yep, schedule the office time. Yep. Office open door is not the best policy. And so what I literally do too is when my door is open, it's open and I'm available. But when my door is shut, I'm in a meeting or I have one of the zones of regulation little boards on my wall. So sometimes when my zone board is a red, everyone's just like, just walk away. Do not come near her because she's self-regulating and ornery. But sometimes it's helpful to just be really, put those up, but then own them too. And take your time and make it valuable.
You know, Jess, I think one of the challenges too is that so many of us have relied on our secretaries to kind of be like our bouncers and to help screen maybe some of the phone calls or the different things that come our direction. I know I was reflecting on this today, and without them physically here in my room, in my office right next to me, which would probably be a little creepy, I'm having to be stronger with that skill and be more cognizant about how I'm prioritizing, because I don't have that scaffold anymore, which is stressful. But also, I need to do some self-talk to acknowledge like I'm learning and growing. And through the end of this, I'm going to be a much better leader when I come back into the building if I really go through this and embrace that struggle.
Well, I think, that's such a great point. And I think we're all learning skills that we have strengths in and skills that we were lacking in. And delegation was not my skill set, but I learned early on in this that if I wanted to be available to my own family and available to the staff that I have, I was going to need to seek help. And so, like I said, having in a building of 800 kids, a middle school, having an assistant principal is and having that time to talk and bounce things off. And then if you are in a building that has an assistant principal, what a fantastic time to cultivate a building leader. Because you're walking through a pandemic that you've never done, they've never done. You can work together to build processes and build that assistant principal up to take over a building with this opportunity too. All right, these are really, really
great
open
idea.
door. This is really, really good ideas. Oh, look at Gracie. Thanks for sharing. Assistant Principal Week next week.
Awesome.
You know what that means is I think Ryan only has to have one day where he has 6 meetings with me next week. That poor man. That is, yeah, 6 meetings with me today. That was record setting. So we'll give them a meeting week off next week. I'm just reading the comments too. Absolutely, yep. Crystal wrote, the physical closing of the door has been a big help for me. My staff truly understand that I do have an open door, and the majority of the time you'll always see my door open, but when it's closed, come back or schedule a time to meet. And I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but I've noticed some of our teachers are using, is it Calendar Lily or something? It's an online tool where you can request a meeting time. And so that might be something we can look at, you know, if teachers want to get a hold of you but don't know what your schedule looks like now that you're not in the building, that might be something. I know we're just trying to be available and visible in different meetings, and daily updates have been helpful too. And know that we're going to have to back off of some of those daily tasks as we start to get comfortable in this new routine, so we can get to those strategic tasks. It's almost like I think we talked about this before, it's the first week of school again. We got Groundhog's Day this year. We got a whole new school year, and that's when our energy has got to be high, and that's when we're really putting in a lot of time at work, but then we have to remember that we have to pull back so we can finish the year strong.
Hey, and as we're into the next one, if you talked about or mentioned your PLC team feedback.
Dwight did. Yeah, it was Dwight.
Oh yeah, Dwight, if you mind, or if you wouldn't mind connecting that in, if you're not able to, if you could email it to Honor, that'd be awesome to be able to share it out with the folks in this group. So thank you for that.
All right, I think we can go on to the next slide now, which is now that was fantastic. I mean, Rachel, we couldn't have set that up any better. The powers in this
Good.
Powerful group of people that we got some activities out of and ideas that I'm going to take back tomorrow. So the next slide then
Before
really.
You do,
oh, yes.
Could we get the question in that you saw? Did you see that one? I saw earlier someone mentioned using PLC Teams feedback sheet. What is that, and can you share?
Yeah, I maybe misinterpreted it. I was thinking sharing physically, like the copy of the form. But Jess, do you want to kind of talk about that feedback sheet?
Yes, I'm going to, and it was Dwight Carter again, the E.F. Hutton here of my life. But Dwight had just talked about that their PLC meetings, he actually, I believe, said he had a form. So if he's not physically at the meeting, if they had a question or clarification, they could fill that form out, get it to him, and then he could circle back later on. And that's been kind of interesting. We do a daily update now, kind of like a Friday focus, but every day of the week. We actually started a running list of things that Jess and Ryan are aware of. So we know that we have a question about grades, fourth quarter grades. We know we have a question about the master schedule. We know, so I'm listing all the things that we know we have questions about, so the staff knows we're aware of it and we're working on it, but we might not have an answer, and that's kind of decreased anxiety too. So that's something, but yeah, if maybe we can circle back Honor to Dwight and see if he can get that to our resource guide before tomorrow too. How are you going to measure success? So we set some lofty goals tonight, which is fantastic. So how do you measure success? How do you know? I mean, obviously, showering every day should be a pretty measurable task. You would think somebody would remember to do that every day. We're not going 100% here, boys and girls, but how do you measure success? How would you know your ideal week was successful by the end of next week?
I look at mine on a daily basis and then look throughout the week at the end. So I kind of start the week with my plan, check it in each day. Some days are better than others, right? Let's just be real. And then I do kind of a week in reflection. And I always look for, that I made sure I worked out and that I read and that I did my morning routine and I developed myself. And so I have a couple key aspects that I look for. And I always have sticky notes right by my bed, right, in a couple key locations that I always go to. And I always reflect on that before I go. And then the great thing is, I think it goes into your next slide, but my husband gets on me. Did you read today? You work out? And I think the workout part might have a hidden motivation. I'm sure I'm probably a lot nicer and working out.
Yeah.
But accountability partner. I like it. The pants. Do your pants fit? Yeah, the ring.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like this one. Go through the weekend without working. That's fantastic. That's a good measure of success. Family still looks familiar to me.
I just saw that. That's awesome.
Midweek check-in, that's a good idea. Midweek and an end-of-week check-in.
Right.
David, I think we all need to be kind to ourselves. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Exactly.
Apple Watch.
Having things crossed off my to-do list. That's awesome. Got the work done. Kip said that needs to be done. And family time. Sticky notes. I love it. This is really... See, we know how to measure. It doesn't always have to be a SMART goal for it to be successful. All right. So then, and we'll get... let's see what we've got. Not working on the weekend. Dogs haven't chewed up the couch. I have a new fur baby, Laura, and I'm learning that's like if I'm not paying attention. My fur baby really likes my Lululemon tops. And it's not financially going to be a good deal right now, so we got to figure that out. Walking, exercise, Tony. Yep. All right. So then we have another slide here, and that one is going to be who is going to help you stay accountable. And if you were in the webinar we did a couple weeks ago, I love when Brene Brown talks about her square squad. And so if you haven't used that before, it's taking a Post-it note and writing down the people on this Post-it note that's opinion really matters to you. Like this is the person that when they tell you something, you're going to listen. These are not the people that put the random Facebook comments out on your school page and then you realize they think you're in Austin, Texas, not Austin, Minnesota. So these are not the people on your squad. So think about the people on your squad right now that could help you stay accountable. People said team, self-care buddies.
Elementary principal teams.
Yes.
Daughters.
Boxer. Yes, Jessica. Yep.
Oh.
This is awesome. Spouse. You know what's been really fun is, and he's upstairs and can't hear me, so this is awesome. My 9th grader is on the track team, and we've been running together, and I never thought in a million years one of my kids would want to do anything with me with running, and so that has been so much fun. And maybe, we may not running super fast, but we're having fun doing it, and we're going to remember this, so it's been really cool. Ooh, husband, Cass, yes.
And boss.
Yes. Yes.
Best friends. Lots of really good connections.
And David, you're right. So many people worry about those who don't have a squad and the connections we do. And that's really part of why we wanted to do this tonight too, is for those of you in the chat to really get connected with other principals, because this work is going to be isolating and it's going to be long. And we want you to reach out and be available. We can be available to you as well.
And that's also why we send out the list at the end too, the next day.
Yep.
So it's got everybody's Twitter handle. You're able to connect over Twitter and make some further deeper connections too.
Yep. Kip, I would try to do stealthies with my son running, but my stealthy game while running is a little bit, but that's a goal, Kip. Kip just got me a goal for next week. Taking a selfie. Yeah, selfie with my son while running. Good. And Zumba next week. I might be bruised next Thursday night when we come back for our next session, but I'm going to get some Zumba in too. All right.
We're glad you participated too, Jennifer.
Oh my gosh. This is awesome.
Yes, awesome. Thanks, Jessica.
So I think Honor, if I remember right, the next slide is really, yes, it's our challenge, and then we want to get some feedback because we're getting close to the end here, which I can't believe how fast this went. This has really been fun. But we want to put a challenge in place. So if you're on the socials, Twitter, we're going to have you do a challenge. If you're not, maybe use some strategic time in your calendar to get connected on Twitter. And if you could post a copy of your ideal week and tag Rachel and I, and then use the NASP hashtag, we will do some prizes, some book giveaways, and some other things too, just to celebrate that you're giving this a chance. So, and then it looks like, and then Rachel's putting a couple things in the chat box, some resources too. Yes, Jessica, a copy of your schedule. So what's your schedule going to look like next week? Tag us, and I think we just need to keep building each other up by sharing resources. And I think that will really help because maybe the way I built my schedule, maybe you're not a lark, maybe you're more of an owl. And so maybe looking at somebody else's schedule that flips it would be nice. Dwight, if you're still on here, I feel like people would love to see your schedule. We had David Wick's on here, Cass is on here. Crystal, if it can be posted by like Monday probably, that would be awesome because then it starts the week. So you have tomorrow to plan it over the weekend, and then post it on Monday, and then we'll do some drawings and challenges. So as we're finishing the challenge, the last thing we wanted to do was to talk about the upcoming series. And so we kicked this off, and we want to keep this rolling and going, but again, the real-time response of our members. We also want to know what you want to talk about. And so next week, we already have that set up, and I don't know if he joined us, but Gracie, we got him on speakerphone right before this. We have a guest host next week for Mastering the Art of Online Staff Meetings. Andy Jacks is going to be with us.
What's up? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
You had great timing.
Yeah! I don't know if you guys are awake or asleep or tired. I'm exhausted and I'm still going to go. Let's do this. I love it.
Jessica, he stole your name.
Yeah. You stole my name. Why? I'm not Jessica.
I gave you my, yes, you're in on me.
I stole your, what do you call it? I Zoom, what do they call it? I Zoom.
You lurked in.
Yeah, I did something here.
Oh my gosh. Well, Andy, we're glad that you could join us tonight, but we just thought you obviously have a bundle of energy and a ton of resources, and we just want to, a lot of us now are leading from our home offices, and so how in the world can we engage our staff when it looks like the Brady Bunch? Have you done that with Zoom where they're all like Brady Bunch together? So next week we thought would be a really optimal time to start talking about how are we continuing to engage and provide relevant professional development to our teachers in this format.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know what? I actually like the Zoom meetings. I like the Zoom meetings. I like this, like, you know, you get to see everybody and you get to do cool backgrounds. Everybody have their backgrounds going on. You can have a little competition.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, you can do like a little Simpsons background or something. I went with Top Gun. I'm like Maverick in here, like this, like flying, like, oh, my wife's going to jump in. Watch out, watch out, watch out. So,
hi, Jessica.
That's awesome.
See, it's a family affair. That's the other thing. When you're at home with like all these Zoom meetings, it's like a family affair, right? It's like kids are jumping in, dogs are jumping in. You just have to roll with it. That's real life. That's why I like it. But yeah, let's talk about how to engage your staff, how to maximize this unique opportunity that we have with all of our teachers, you know, assistants, anybody you can wrangle up, parents. We've done tons of kids Zoom meetings. And there's some really great ideas out there. So you can either like, you know, fall apart this time, or you can really learn a lot, get better, grow, and just maximize the potentials that we have out there. So as leaders, it's our opportunity to take advantage of every opportunity we can. So that's what we're about. So we can talk about that next week.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
We're going to throw a challenge out to everybody now that we've unveiled that you're part of this team now, is we would love to see you come back next week. You already know what we're going to talk about, so you have a week to kind of be ready to share, but invite a friend. Now, granted, you don't have to give them your login. You can have them register, and then their own name will pop up. But we really think that the more of us that come together, the more we can share and build together, so we're not leading this in isolation. So we're going to ask you to come back next week. Andy will be here. We'll all be here, and bring a friend or two and be ready to talk about how to make these staff meetings relevant. If you have other ideas, please let us know, either via social media or let Honor know, but we're going to start to build out the rest of the series. So if you have some topics, you're like, hey, it'd be really great to start talking about planning for next year. It would be really great to talk, like Mark French talked about, connecting with our students. So we will put some of those together so you kind of have a heads up of what's coming up and what you want to be a part of. So ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:57. What else do we want to end with?
I just wanted to, I saw that Jessica Gomez posted and asked about, do they have to be an NASP member? We're trying really hard during this time to everything we're doing, we're offering to everybody. So just contact us. We'll try to make that
Awesome.
work because that's really important to Dr. Franks. We've talked about that and the task force members, that we're all in this together, and everything we do, member, non-member, we just want to help principals. So
That's fantastic.
more
That's
the merrier.
That's awesome.
So knowing that as you're back in your buildings, please let your other colleagues know, even secondary. I mean, I think middle school and high school principals could certainly learn from us as well. So I think just reaching out, and let's really bring back an incredible night next Thursday. All right.
And it's same time, same place. And I saw a recommendation to end with a dance party. So are you guys ready?
I know, yes.
Are you ready?
Dance party. Who has some music on?
Going.
Rachel, I was literally like Googling music. You probably doing the same
Let's
thing.
start.